Senator Ruby. I can't say enough good things about Rebecca Kleefisch. She and my dad have turned the state of Wisconsin around with their leadership. Our families endured the recall election together. And ultimately, she and my dad followed through on their promises to take down the special interests and put the power back in the hands of the hard-working taxpayers. Rebecca is a smart, courageous woman who sets an example for so many in our state. Please welcome your Lieutenant Governor, Rebecca Kleefisch.
When we were all here in this room together?
Oh yeah.
You remember you were there? And you were there and you were there? And the governor and I were here? And you in the media, you were there? And you at home, America, you were there? And do you remember what it felt like leading up to that number? Do you remember what it was like to see your governor persecuted for simply putting you back in charge? Do you remember for a moment what it was like to see the big government special interests try to take your voice away? Do you remember what it was like on that night 3 years ago when Wisconsin, no, when America got her voice back? This is what democracy looks like. You remember what it was like before then? We were facing a $3.6 billion budget deficit. We had lost tens of thousands of jobs, and today, that fight that you took on, that fight that Governor Scott Walker was your general for, has now saved between state and local governments more than $3 billion. And while your great governor has put Wisconsin on a path reliably into the future, he has also assured that you get to keep more of your own money, because Governor Scott Walker has cut your taxes by more than $2 billion. Do you remember, though, what it was like when they came? They came on planes, and they came on buses. They came in their cars, and they came in their trucks, and they came with their signs, and their drums, and their vuvuzelas. They came and they protested. And they tried to take your voice away. They wanted to be in the driver's seat. But it was one man who stood up. Yep. In a Herculean effort like a David to a Goliath, Governor Scott Walker had your back. He will again. Yep. See, here in Wisconsin, we really like to save. You all know that. I mean, when the Macy's store came to our great state, the first question to Macy's was, will you offer coupons in the Sunday newspaper? Governor Scott Walker has spared no American man, woman, or child. His story about getting a sweater for $1 at Kohl's clearance rack. We in Wisconsin, we love to save. But there are some things that are just too good to save for ourselves. There are some things that must be shared. Wisconsin, I think it's time that we share with America. Our great governor, our great leader, the one who can return this country to prosperity, our Governor Scott Walker. When I look around and I remember that night, 3 years ago, I remember all the moments that we shared, all of us, working to put you back in charge. But there were some moments that were private, some that we didn't tell you about. Like the time right before the recallers got in motion. You remember because you watched it on TV and you read it in the newspaper too. We knew that there was going to be one moment when the protestorate would fire. We knew that there was going to be one night when they would have pizza parties at recall places across the entire state, that they would have contests in order to determine the first person to sign the recall petitions. We knew that they were going to set up card tables in parking lots and in gas stations all across our state, where you could sign up to recall the governor on the white sheet and me on the pink. But what you may also remember was right before they were about to begin, there was a mystery. Someone had taken out papers to recall just the governor. It was someone we didn't know. Even the journalists didn't know at the time. It was eerie, and it was a mystery. It was one more signal that this was a movement out of control. Even I didn't know. I was concerned for the governor, and so I texted him. Just 2 words. I wrote him the words, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans for hope and a future. Just a moment later, my phone rang. The governor had texted me back. Just 2 simple words. Isaiah 54:17. The governor's verse says this: no weapon formed against you will prevail. You will refute every tongue that accuses you. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this will be their vindication. America, are you ready to be vindicated? Are you ready for a great leader? And who has won? Are you ready, America? For Scott Walker! Good, because he'll be out in just a minute.
They said we have to compromise.